friends. Trying to keep everybody updated on developments as best we can. Three things to cover today. First of all, the saga with Justice Seamus Woulfe. Again, guys, as we keep on saying, the establishment is not to be trusted. Now, what we're seeing with this Seamus Woulfe saga is a breakdown of relationships and communications across the board up at the top end. Why? Well, basically because the politicians and the judges have been in bed together from day one. All of this nonsense about a Judicial Advisory Appointments Board, which has been in place for 25 years and hasn't held one single interview, is enough to let us know. We all know that the judges are politically appointed. The problem here this time is that these elites, as they like to call themselves, go to a function like the Clifton Golf dinner, telling us all basically, you all have to live in lockdown, but we somehow are immune from this virus, which is so very, very serious that everybody has to basically become prisoners in their own homes. Somehow the virus was intelligent enough not to go to Golfgate. We should all be asking ourselves questions about that. But we'll get to that in a moment. Why are they making such a huge fuss about Seamus Woulfe, even when some politicians are already saying, oh, we may not be able to impeach him because maybe he hasn't broken any laws? Well, since January this year, and actually long before that, but formally since January this year, we have been notifying the government of 40 judges plus another 60 officials and office holders, but 40 judges are named in this book. Not only are they named, but the crimes they've committed are detailed, and the evidence is in here as well. So why is Minister Helen McEntee refusing to even acknowledge the documents that we're sending to her, including this little booklet, which is actually the formal application for an investigation and for the impeachment of those judges who have definitively committed some serious crimes against the administration of justice? All the proofs are there, nothing is being done about it. And it's only when we publicise stuff, and it's only when the problem is too big to be covered up by the mainstream media and the politicians and the judges and the powers that be, that's the only time we see a brouhaha, a fuss that's going on like we see at the moment. Clearly, it's time for someone like Seamus Woulfe to go. One could also argue, though, what about a circumstance where, for example, a Chief Justice decides to appoint his girlfriend to one of the senior positions up in the forecourts? Should that not be getting looked into as well? Should we also be looking into how the previous Attorney General, Marie Whelan, ends up being promoted up to the forecourts as well? All very cosy, don't you think? Bear in mind that these people, when they're Attorney Generals, they're sitting at Cabinet with the top politicians in the country at the time. They're the ones that help decide who's going to be the next judges. And then all of a sudden, you find them joining the band? We should be asking more questions, folks. Now, on the same theme of not trusting the establishment, you'll recall in the last video that we reported a circumstance where we've been given some evidence that somebody in the UK had just paid somebody 10,000 UK pounds to murder their ex-husband. Now, we've got, I know you'll all take my word on this, I've got the evidence, okay? The witness wanted to make a complaint statement to the police, so we notified the police in that area in the UK, and then the cover-up started. We advised them as well that this was linked to a previous assault and a murder here in this jurisdiction as well. And we needed them to look into it, but to watch out because the Irish Guards were complicit in the first assault and the first murder. What's happened? Well, as you can imagine, we've had 3 months of lies, stonewalling, refusals to go and interview the people concerned. And I even told the UK police and Garda headquarters over here, I've told them both, that I have the name, address, details of the man who was paid the £10,000. I've got evidence to back this up, and guess what? No matter how many people I ask this question, including all the way to the House of Parliament in the UK, the House of Lords, the Minister for Police and the Home Secretary in the UK, nobody wants to know the details of that individual. So all I will say for the moment, I've even had to do a video which is primed and ready to go to all of the media outlets around the world if we don't make some progress on this, because clearly this is a massive cover-up. On that topic, I'm going to mention a couple of names here, because I've done my best to alert the police in Cornwall to tell Mr. Nigel Franklin, now I know it's a relatively common name, but Nigel Franklin, who lives in Cornwall, I have evidence that your ex-wife, Rosalind Franklin, as she was known then, paid this man £10,000 to have you killed. So if you know Nigel Franklin, please alert him to this. I did try to reach him. I don't know if I have the right address for him or not. I did send a letter. But the Devon and Cornwall police will not confirm that they've alerted you, and the Avon and Somerset police are trying to cover this whole thing up. The witness in this particular case, shortly after he confirmed with me that he was ready to take a statement to the UK police about what he knew, he informed me that he'd been assaulted by 3 unknown assailants, and shortly after that he went dead. We haven't been able to contact him since, and believe it or not, the Avon and Somerset police are trying to tell me, oh, we can reassure you, Mr. Manning, he doesn't want to talk to you. I said, I'm supposed to take your word for this after you've serially lied to me for 3 months? Anyway, we've asked them for what they call proof of life. I want proof that this man is still okay, that he hasn't been intimidated into silence or worse. So, unfortunately, with the lockdown, there's not much we can do. I've served notices on the police, on the Home Secretary in the UK, and everybody else concerned, that it's my intention, as soon as the lockdown is lifted, I'm going to the UK and I'm going to confront these people head on and find out what's going on. Finally, again on the same theme, the dreaded topic that we're all trying to avoid making statements on, because it is so polarizing. Everybody in society seems to have a position on this, the virus. Okay, I'll call it the COVID phenomenon. Why? Because nobody actually knows exactly what this is. The tests they are using are not specifically designed to tackle this COVID-19 phenomenon. The establishment is trying to give the impression, oh yes, absolutely, this is a particular virus and we're doing specialized tests and we're coming up with certain results, and based on those results there's going to be a whole slew of lockdown measures, of requirements to be tested, to be vaccinated, to have health passports, little green light systems on your phone, or you won't be allowed to do anything. Now, I am highly suspicious, not just because of my own experiences with the establishment, but also because of all of the facts and the data that are coming in. Now, obviously, we don't have enough time to cover this at the moment. We are working on factual statement that will help people understand. But I will say this. There are a number of people out there who are happy to accept the establishment narrative. In my opinion, for what it's worth, these people are probably the biggest danger to society right now. Now, of course, there's fake news out there. Of course, there are some conspiracy theories. But there are also a great deal of facts that indicate whatever it is that's going on with this COVID-19 phenomenon, it is not what they are telling us it is. It is something else. There is, at the very least, there are several different agendas which are all to do with the removal of our fundamental rights, the crushing of democracy, and the installing of what will eventually be, or will amount to be, a totalitarian system whereby none of us have any real freedoms anymore. This is scary. We should all be very worried about it. And at the very least, folks, and I say this with the greatest respect to people who may have suffered from this thing already, or who have loved ones who have suffered from it. It's not the issue. We're not saying this thing doesn't exist, whatever it is. What we're saying is everyone should be asking serious questions in light of the fact that we know for sure that the higher up the establishment you are, in general, I say in general with very few exceptions, the higher up the establishment you are, the more likely it is that you have been corrupted and compromised. And if that's the case, you have to ask ourselves who it is that are putting out this message to the public that we all need to become prisoners in our own homes in order to defeat something which we actually don't even know fully what it is. Please inform yourself. Look at the evidence that is being put up, especially online, on social media and places like that. Yes, I know it's easy to dismiss them all as a bunch of cranks. But if you don't know, you don't know. What I'm saying is, trust your own intuition. Trust the facts. Check out. I mean, most of us have got nothing better to be doing now anyway. We're all locked down in the house. Check out the facts and the details, and please don't let it be said later that you were one of the people that swallowed the establishment narrative wholesale, because those that do, and those that trundle off for testing and vaccinations and all this stuff in the short term, you're the ones that are putting the power in the hands of people that have absolutely proven, time after time, they are not to be trusted. Oh, and finally, guys, a bit of good news. Now, we've told you already about the People's Tribunal of Ireland, which is making headway now, setting up a tribunal, an organisation basically, which will have the power to do a great many things to help people who are having difficulties, particularly with the establishment, with the courts and so on. Now, interestingly, the Integrity Ireland Association has also set up a parallel system, very similar, based on the same two foundation documents. And these documents basically give us the authority and the power to raise asseverations. I know, big word, very interesting, check it out. Basically, it's a declaration, a document, a certificate, which we can serve on the courts in order to achieve a certain result. And we're happy to say the first one got served on the CCJ this week, when we received a report that a member of the public needed assistance. And you can go and see that asseveration for yourself at this location. Now, this is the beginning of something big, guys. The People's Tribunal of Ireland are working on similar documents. You can go and check out their website as well, you'll see it. Basically, what we're doing is we're taking on these corrupt courts and these corrupt judges head on. We've got no problems at all with decent, honest judges who are genuinely trying to do their jobs. What we've got a problem with is this cabal, this criminal cabal, many of whom are in senior positions of authority and power in this state, who are running roughshod over us and are doing so with absolute impunity. It has to stop, guys. This is how we're going to do it. The real virus, arguably, are corrupt officials and office holders, people that we're supposed to trust to run our societies for us. They are the real danger here, not some nondescript so-called COVID-19 phenomenon thing, which the establishment is using to foster fear, anxiety, and control. And what do they do with that control? Well, I'm sure we've seen enough of that now to know that we need to be asking questions. Please, guys, keep an open mind, keep looking at the evidence, and let's make sure that we are properly educated about what really is going on. Again, let me direct you to the Criminality in the Irish Courts book, and ask yourself, how can I name 100 officials and office holders in this book? How can we serve papers on the authorities, formal requests for petitions, and we're not even getting acknowledgements of registered post? Something very strange is going on, guys. When we catch them red-handed, their only last and cowardly resort is to bury their heads in the sand and hope and pray that we'll just go away. This is the time to take advantage of the fact that we have the proofs, the facts. We've lodged applications for criminal summonses. We've lodged complaints with the police, with the guards, with the authorities, with the Minister for Justice. Everything is being absolutely ignored. And yet we see this big spotlight on Mr. Woulfe and his shenanigans. Why? Simply, it was already in the public domain. They have to deal with it. So that's what we have to do as well. We have to keep forcing them into a confrontation, get this story out there, get people talking about it and asking, how on earth can the people set up their own tribunal? Not only that, but why would they need to do that? Ask yourself that question, look for the answers, and then you'll be much better informed as to what really is the real virus here. Thank you for listening.